think that she was so courageous in her willingness to stand up, but it was too much even for her. And they forced her.
Jeff Bezos' biggest bets is now a $10 billion disaster. The history of Amazon Alexa is fascinating, especially since Bezos took huge personal ownership of the product.
The billionaire and the queen. Why Bernard Arnault is betting his entire empire on Eala. Welcome back to Champions Tennisistics, the home of the biggest serves and even bigger stories in the world of tennis. Today, we are not just talking about a match. We are not just talking about a tournament. We are talking about a seismic shift in the history of professional sport. We are talking about a partnership so massive, so unexpected, and so deeply personal that it has sent shockwaves from the gilded boardroom of LVMH in the heart of Paris all the way to the sun-baked hard courts of Manila. Grab your popcorn, turn off your notifications, and settle in, because the Philippine tennis queen just received the most extraordinary royal backing this sport has ever witnessed. Now, close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You are the architect of the world's most powerful luxury empire. In your portfolio sits Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, Moët Chandon, Tiffany Co, Bulgari, Givenchy, and over 70 other legendary brands. Your net,
one of the biggest sportswear brands in the world, has just signed Filipino tennis sensation Eala to a massive 3-year contract worth a staggering
funded the Paris Olympics. You have put your name behind Formula One. You have dressed Lionel Marchand in Louis Vuitton gold. Every decision you make is calculated, precise, and historic. And then one day, your assistant places a handwritten letter on your desk. It is from a 20-year-old girl from the Philippines. And in that moment, something shifts deep inside the wolf in Kashmir himself. Bernard Arnault, the most powerful man in the global luxury universe, is no longer just watching Eala. He is all in on her. That is the story we are telling today, and it is every bit as cinematic as it sounds. Let us set the scene properly, because context is everything here. The year is 2026, and the WTA circuit is in the middle of one of its most competitive and unpredictable seasons in memory. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka of Belarus is a bulldozer wearing a tennis dress, having just successfully defended her title at the Miami Open in a ferocious final against Coco Gauff. Iga Swiatek, the Polish powerhouse who once seemed untouchable, has slipped to number 4 in the world. And right in the middle of all this chaos, a 20-year-old Filipina with a forehand that could rearrange the furniture has been quietly, relentlessly climbing the mountain. Her name, of course, is Alexandra Eala. And this year, she has been nothing short of a revelation. Let us talk about the numbers first, because they tell a story that no screenwriter could invent. Heading into the 2026 Miami Open, Eala stood at a career-high ranking of world number 29, making her the highest-ranked Filipino player in the entire history of the WTA Tour. Let that sink in. The highest ever. Not just in her generation. Not just in the modern era. Ever. And she had not arrived at this summit by accident or lucky draws. She had beaten the world's best, tournament after tournament, climbing from outside the top 100 just over a year ago to a position where she is now spoken of in the same sentence as Grand Slam champions. Her 2026 season read like a highlight reel that nobody could stop watching. She reached the semifinals in both singles and doubles at the Auckland Open to start the year. She battled deep into the Abu Dhabi Open, reaching the quarterfinals. At the Dubai Championships in February, she dispatched Italy's Jasmine Paolini, who was ranked inside the world's top 10 at the time, beating her 6-1, 7-6 in a performance of such controlled aggression that the tennis world sat up and took very serious notice. Then came Indian Wells, where she survived a 3-set war against Ukraine's Diana Yastremska and continued her now legendary tradition of troubling the best players on the planet. And then Miami. Oh, the drama of Miami. The 2026 Miami Open was, depending on which side of the draw you were watching, either a triumph of resilience or a masterclass in just how brutal professional tennis can be. Eala, seated 31st and carrying the weight of an entire nation's expectations on her shoulders, received a first-round bye and entered the draw with one brutal assignment after another. She outlasted Germany's Laura Siegemund in 3 sets in a match that stretched to 3 hours and 20 minutes, the longest match of her professional career to date. 3 hours and 20 minutes, folks. That is not just tennis. That is war. She followed that up with a composed third-round win over Poland's Magda Linette, 6-3, 7-6, to advance to the round of 16. She had done it. She had survived the Shark Tank and reached the second week of a WTA 1000 event at the scene of her greatest triumph a year prior. And then she ran into Karolina Machova. The Czech assassin, fresh from winning the Qatar Open title just weeks before, needed exactly 60 minutes to dismantle Eala's 6-love, 6-2 in a match that was, in the cold language of scorelines, as one-sided as they come. It was Eala's 12th consecutive loss against Czech opposition, a stat that her coaching team, led by Joan Bosch, will certainly have flagged, circled in red, and pinned to the training room wall ahead of the clay season. Now here is where most players of Eala's age would crumble. A ranking drop, a lopsided loss on the biggest stage. The points she spent 12 months accumulating in Miami had vanished, and the WTA rankings were merciless in their response. From her career high of 29, Eala tumbled 16 spots to 45 in the rankings released on March the 30th, and has since slipped one further place to sit at number 46 as of today, April the 6th. She lost 270 ranking points, the arithmetic reality of failing to replicate a semi-final run that had made her a household name across Southeast Asia. But here is the thing about Alex Eala that her rivals are starting to truly understand, and that a certain French billionaire understood long before any of them. She does not break. She bends, she recalibrates, she learns, and then she comes back harder. After her Miami exit, when a WTA interviewer asked her how she prepares for players who are physically bigger and stronger, Eala's answer stopped people in their tracks. She said, quietly and with the certainty of someone who has done the math, "You could argue that everything I do is to prepare myself for those players. I'm in the process of still getting stronger, still being more powerful, but I think I have different, other strengths as well. Not just power, different layers to my game. Different layers." There it is. That is the sentence that captures everything about why the world is so fascinated by this young woman. She is not a one-trick phenomenon. She is an unfolding masterpiece. And Bernard Arnault knows a masterpiece when he sees one. Because here is where the story gets extraordinary. In the aftermath of her Miami run, Alex Eala did something that felt almost radical in the age of Instagram DMs and viral TikTok posts. She sat down, found paper, found a pen, and wrote a handwritten letter. Old school, deliberate, personal. Sources close to the situation say she addressed it to Arnault, thanking him for his long-standing appreciation of the sport and sharing her vision of what she believed she could achieve for Philippine tennis, for Asian tennis, and for the future of the women's game globally. The letter, by all accounts, was not a pitch. It was not a sponsorship request dressed up in flattery. It was a genuine expression of gratitude, purpose, and ambition from a young woman who plays tennis the same way she apparently lives her life, with complete conviction. The letter landed on Arnault's desk in Paris. And then something happened that almost never happens to the man they call the Wolf in Kashmir. He was moved, genuinely, visibly moved. People inside LVMH who have worked with Arnault for decades describe him as a man of extraordinary cold precision, someone for whom sentiment is a distraction from strategy. This is, after all, the man who famously told the Harvard Business Review that mastering the paradox of star brands is very difficult and very rare. He built an empire on the philosophy that true luxury is not about accessibility, but about aspiration. And yet, when he read Alex Eala's handwritten letter, something clicked that no spreadsheet or market analysis could have predicted. He reportedly told people close to him that her resilience did not just move scoreboards. It moved hearts. And in a world where his brands survive and thrive by moving hearts, by making people feel that owning a piece of their product is owning a piece of something eternal, he recognized in Alex Eala what he has spent his entire career building into the brands under his roof. He saw the rare spark, the thing that cannot be taught, cannot be manufactured, and cannot be replicated. He saw a global legacy in the making, wrapped in the blue, red, and white of the Philippine flag. And so he made the call that the entire tennis world is still processing. Bernard Arnault, the man behind the most powerful luxury group in human history, announced he would personally fund every single aspect of Alex Eala's professional journey. Not through an LVMH brand activation, not as a marketing campaign. Personally, this is not a logo on a sleeve. This is not a photo shoot for a perfume campaign, though given the LVMH roster, nobody would be surprised if that comes too. This is the full, unrestricted financial might of one of the world's great power brokers clearing every obstacle from the path of a 20-year-old girl from Manila so she can go and do what she was born to do. The package, according to insiders, is everything that money can buy in the world of professional tennis and then some. Elite, round-the-clock access to the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, where Eala has trained since 2018 and where she was pictured preparing for exactly this clay season just days ago. A bespoke team of physiotherapists, sports psychologists, nutritionists, and tactical analysts tailored entirely around her game. Custom-engineered racket and equipment development that makes a Formula One pit crew look like a backyard hobby operation. No financial pressure. No compromises. No worrying about whether the budget stretches to cover a private flight between Stuttgart and Madrid. Just tennis. This is unprecedented. In the history of the sport, we have seen wealthy families fund their children's careers. We have seen governments invest in national programs. We have seen corporate giants sign athletes to ambassador deals worth millions. But what Arnault is doing here belongs to a different category entirely. He is not buying into the brand of Eala. He is investing in the human being. And that distinction matters enormously. To understand why this move makes sense from Arnault's perspective, you have to look at what LVMH has been doing in the world of sports over the past 2 years. Their investment in the Paris 2024 Olympics was estimated at around 150 million euros, and it was, by any measure, a masterclass in brand integration. Louis Vuitton trunks carried the Olympic torch. Moët designed the medals. Bulgari dressed the French team for the opening ceremony. Sephora sponsored the torch relay. Celine Dion performed on the Seine in head-to-toe Dior. The LVMH footprint was so omnipresent at the games that fellow sponsors later complained publicly about it. That is how you do it when you are Bernard Arnault. You do not just show up. You define the moment. And on the business side of things, the excitement is ramping up significantly as well. Rumors circulating strongly through the sports marketing world suggest that a landmark multi-million-dollar global sponsorship deal with a major luxury watch brand is currently in the very final stages of negotiation with Alex's management team. If these reports prove accurate, and all indications suggest they will, this agreement would immediately elevate her into the rarefied financial tier occupied by the highest-earning female athletes anywhere on the planet. It would cement her status not just as a rising tennis talent, but as a genuine global brand in her own right. The kind of athlete that a luxury house wants on their wrist and at their events because she represents something authentic and aspirational and powerful all at once. The broader cultural significance of everything Eala represents cannot be overstated, and it deserves to be spoken about clearly and with full appreciation. In the Philippines, a country with an almost religious devotion to basketball, a fierce pride in its boxing champions, and a rich tradition of producing world-class athletes in various disciplines, having a homegrown tennis player operating at the absolute highest level of the WTA Tour is transformative in ways that go far beyond sport. Tennis courts are being built in communities where none existed before. Junior programs are being launched and funded that simply would not have been prioritized a decade ago. Children who had never held a racket in their lives are now watching Alex's matches with their parents and asking to try. She is rewriting what is possible for the next generation of Filipino athletes in a sport that was never traditionally considered theirs to dominate. And when a story like the Penthouse Surprise reaches those communities, when a young Filipino girl who grew up to conquer Wimbledon's junior title, who trained in Spain and competed across the entire globe, turns around and buys her parents a home that could make a billionaire's jaw drop, the impact of that story is electric in the deepest possible sense. In Filipino culture, the concept of utang na loob, the profound, sacred sense of debt and gratitude owed to one's parents and elders for their sacrifices, is not merely a social custom. It is a cornerstone of identity, a measure of character, and a source of genuine community pride. When Alex fulfilled that unspoken but deeply felt obligation in the most extravagant and loving way imaginable, she did not simply make her parents cry happy tears in a luxury penthouse. She held up a mirror to an entire culture and showed it the very best of itself. She is not just a tennis player. She is a symbol of what it looks like when grit, gratitude, and Grace all arrive at the same destination at the same time. As Roland Garros begins to cast its long shadow over this stretch of the calendar, the weeks in Stuttgart and Madrid will serve as the critical, definitive litmus test for where Eala's career goes from this point forward. The red clay will demand everything: physical endurance that borders on punishment, infinite strategic patience, and a tactical intelligence that must operate perfectly under the kind of pressure that has ended many promising careers prematurely. She will need her sliding to be perfect, her point construction to be creative and varied, and her mental composure to hold firm when her back is against the baseline and the crowd is behind her opponent. But consider the full picture of everything we know about this young woman. At 13, she packed a bag, left everything she knew, and moved to Spain alone to chase a dream that most people her age could not have articulated, let alone pursued. She survived the most demanding junior tennis environment on earth. She won Grand Slam junior titles. She climbed the professional ranks against players who had been training since before she was born. She navigated the blinding spotlight of national expectation with grace and consistency. She built a financial empire, managed it wisely, and used it to honor the people who believed in her before anyone else did. And she did all of this with a smile that somehow, impossibly, never stopped being genuine. So you tell me, does a ranking at number 45 scare this woman? Does a tough first-round draw in Stuttgart cause her a single sleepless night? Does the red clay of Madrid intimidate a girl who practically learned to walk on it? The answer to every single one of those questions is the same. Absolutely not. The rest of the WTA Tour should be paying very close attention right now. Because when Eala steps onto that clay with her parents settled happily in their penthouse, her conscience clear and her heart full, she is not just coming to compete. She is coming to remind everyone exactly who she is and what she is capable of. She has already won the most important match of her life. Everything from here is a bonus. And bonus Eala is a version of this player that the tour has not yet fully seen. What an absolutely extraordinary, inspiring, and deeply human story. If the image of Eala holding those penthouse keys with tears streaming down his face and his daughter's arms wrapped around him did not give you complete, full-body goosebumps, I genuinely do not know what else to tell you. This is what sport is actually about, underneath all the rankings and the prize money and the television contracts. It is about the quiet, enormous sacrifices of parents who believed in something they could not yet see. It is about the children who carry those sacrifices with them across oceans and into arenas and never, ever forget where they came from. Now I want to hear from every single one of you, the greatest tennis community in the entire world. What did those 15 words do to you? Do you believe that this incredible, life-defining off-court moment is exactly the emotional fuel Eala needs to go absolutely nuclear on the clay courts of Stuttgart and Madrid and come roaring back up those rankings? Is a top 10 breakthrough finally on the horizon? Drop every single one of your thoughts, your predictions, your messages of support and love for Alex and her family right there in the comment section below. Let's make this the most active comment section Champions Tennisitics has ever seen, because a story this big deserves a conversation to match it. If this video moved you, if it inspired you even slightly, absolutely smash that like button right now. It makes a genuine difference to this channel and to how many people get to hear this story. And if you are not yet part of the Champions Tennisitics family, what on earth are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell immediately so you never miss a single exclusive update, breaking story, or deep dive episode. We are bringing you the heat every single week without exception. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Keep swinging for the fences in your own lives, and we will see you in the next one.
One of the biggest sportswear brands in the world has just signed Filipino tennis sensation Eala to a massive 3-year contract worth
Jeff Bezos' biggest bets is now a $10 billion disaster. The history of Amazon Alexa is fascinating, especially since Bezos took huge personal ownership of the product